We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. It is Wednesday, and we have the good fortune of having Old Soul with us early. She's going to be busy for the rest of the week doing Old Soul shit. And so she said, "Can I come on early?" I said, "Sure, absolutely. Come on early." And so Old Soul is with us. You've been, as I tend to say, busier than a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest these days, haven't you? You've been going all over the place.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot.
What
But
kind of thing? You don't have to
I
tell
think
us where or exactly what you're doing, but what kind of things are you doing?
I want to say if you have the ability to like volunteer and jump in and help out, I think that you should do that if you can in a safe way and take Donald Trump and his threats and his border czar's threats. Take all of those threats very seriously and have that in mind whenever you're trying to help out.
Oh, you
That's what I was
know,
going to say.
during his campaign, Donald Trump was talking a lot about the tariffs, how great they would be. And for my money, all it was a bullying tactic, trying to threaten and trying to get people to bend his way. Clearly, Canada and Mexico did not do that. Donald Trump wants to make it out as if he may had a big win. He did not. He told the president of Canada, "You need to put 10,000 people on the border," and she said, "Cool," because she already had 15,000 on the border for the last 2 3 years. Then Trudeau said, "Look, we'll spend $1.3 billion on border control." And Donald says, "That's cool. Yeah, that's a win for me." Only problem is they did that a year ago. Both these people played that dumb motherfucker, is what they did. Um, and Donald Trump backed down largely because he was getting too much heat from wealthy people and corporations who were going to lose a ton of money. Were you surprised that he backed away from the tariffs, or did you think he'd make it happen?
I wasn't surprised that Trump backed down from that, but I am a believer, and Donald Trump is not the one that's running the show. He's not the one running the show. If you go to any of his like press conferences that he has, in particular, if he's like signing an executive order, right? The
Mm-hmm.
person stands next to him, tells him what's in the executive order. Donald Trump looks at him like an idiot because he has no idea what's in it. He just knows the people around him, they're telling him this is what's in the executive order. He's not reading it, he's not researching it. He doesn't have any attorneys looking over it. He doesn't have any constitutional scholars looking over it. He doesn't have any of that going on. He's just like, yep, yep, okay. And he's signing off on it.
I think
Donald Trump
I agree. We,
has no
we
idea. No
we
idea.
agree on this. I was watching Jasmine Crockett talk, and she's very eloquent, very smart. I love Jasmine Crockett. She's the kind of leader we need in this country. But she said something I disagree with, and I have a feeling you do too. She's saying that Donald Trump is the thug, and I
He is a
disagree. Donald Trump, he's a pussy ass bitch, is what he is. All the thugs are all around him, pulling the strings, telling him
true.
what to do.
True. That's not true. Yeah. I don't think Donald Trump has any idea at all whatsoever what he's signing, what he's doing. To me, it looks like the equivalent to they're using Donald Trump as a distraction.
Yeah,
And the people around him, those are the people who are implementing Project 2025 and making sure that that agenda is taken care of. They need Donald Trump out of their hair. So they give him these little like side projects that he could do and all of this dumb stuff to keep him busy while they're doing what it is that they really want to do. It's not Donald Trump. And I want people to get that through their mind. It's not him, it's the people around him. Look at those people. And that's why you should be afraid. And well, not afraid, but what's going on right now, you have to take it very seriously. And there's not enough
absolutely.
people that's doing it.
Well, we're seeing all these happenings with Elon Musk going into departments, breaking into computer systems, pay systems. He's got this band of teenagers with him. Who the fuck they are, I don't know. I think
I've
they
been
should be
told
exposed.
it.
What's that?
I've been calling them the Geek Squad.
The Geek Squad. That's probably pretty accurate. But people are coming out saying, the alarms are sounding. What Elon Musk is doing is illegal. And I say,
Yeah,
yeah, any idiot would know it's illegal. But so
he
what?
was in a VA
Um,
today.
right, he was in the VA today. But the
Yeah,
question is, who's going to do anything about it? And you would normally say the DOJ would be all over that shit, but Donald Trump controls the DOJ, and there's really nobody to police that situation. And that's the most troubling thing about this. So that kind of leaves it all up to us, part of the reason you're doing the things you're doing.
yeah. Your text that you sent me was so accurate because you said we are the last line of defense. And that
Yeah.
is so true. That is so true. People like when we were saying like, hey, we don't have a president. People they look at like black people as just saying that because a racist got elected. That's not why we're saying that. We're saying that because yes, he's a racist, but he is supposed to be a president for all Americans. If you are LGBTQ plus, you don't have a president right now. Donald Trump is
Yeah.
not for you. He doesn't want you to exist. One of his executive orders was to take away the last letters. So now it's just LGB. So you could be lesbian, you could be gay, you could be bisexual, but if you're transgender, you're not supposed to exist. If you're non-binary, you're not supposed to exist. We already see on the federal level, they took away anything that has to do with diversity. And that has nothing to do with Black people because we are only 4% of any DEI hires ever. Number one is white women and white men. Why? Because those people come from rural America, maybe the trailer park, or they grew up on a farm or something, and they're trying to, go to college, get an education, try to get ahead, make a different life for their family. They will always hire them over they will hire a Black person. What they're doing is they're taking their racism and they're playing off of that. So they can say DEI, that just means they're going to hire Black people. When we are the only 4% of DEI programs, we are literally the last group. It's white women, white men. I forget the order, but there's like disabled people in there. There's veterans in there. Just so people know that our vice president, JD Vance, he went to college using DEI programs. He used his Appalachian background to go to college. He is literally a DEI hire. That's not us, that's them. So they don't understand what they're doing. They're using their racism to like knock off other groups. And as soon as those other groups are knocked off, then they go for the poor white people and they'll be in the same position that we are in right now. They don't get that
Absolutely.
part, but
Absolutely.
it's a
Now,
lot going
now,
on.
now,
It's
by
a
people say, what can we do? And I always say, well, you got to speak out. You got to invade the narrative. You've got to change popular opinion. I can't do it alone. You can't do it alone. But people say that doesn't sound like enough. But I want people to understand something. When Donald Trump said he was going to freeze federal funding and then he pulled it back, why did he pull it back? He pulled it back because the noise got too loud. Too many people were bitching, and it was not looking good for him. So he pulled it back. With the tariffs, as much as he claims that he got some concessions from Canada and Mexico, he did not. Um, the reason he pulled it back is because everybody around him saying this is the dumbest trade war ever. This is going to fuck some things up, and he backed down. Donald Trump is not one to say that he lost or was wrong, so he immediately tries to find a way to back out of it. But those two circumstances shows us something. If you don't think your voice is important, if you don't think we have any power, you're mistaken because we've shown that power already in a couple of things. And we should continue to show that power and use it to our best advantage.
I think that was the reason that Donald Trump pulled back from it, but I don't think that's the reason that the people around him um, put, put pressure on him to pull back from it. I think that what they're doing right now, as far as taking over systems, and there's two parts of government that has to fall in order to be a dictatorship. And the first one is to make Congress obsolete. And the way that they're making Congress obsolete is that fund that they were talking about. So if you can get money in that fund and you could do whatever it is that you want to do with those funds, you don't have to ask Congress for money to do anything. You don't have to go to
No.
Congress and we need money allocated for this. We need money allocated for that, and have them go back and forth, come up with a budget and all of that. If you have your own account over here and you have other dictators putting money in there, or you may have somebody, I don't know, like Elon Musk taking money out of the Treasury Department and putting it over there, you don't need Congress to spend money. So the first thing you need to do is you need to make Congress obsolete. That account that they're talking about right now, that's their way of making Congress obsolete, because now you don't have to go to Congress and ask them for nothing. And the second thing that you could do is you could tear down the justice system. And
Yeah.
right now, the justice system is falling. And I
Well,
think
the
that the
justice
people
system's
around,
been in trouble for a while. Yeah.
yeah, if the people like, if we start to uprise and push back and we're taking the streets and we have absolutely put no choice on Congress but to impeach this fool and get him out of office, then that stops all of their plans that they have going on right now. Before they can get that fund set up, if we can get him booted out of office, then all this crap that they're doing behind the scenes, that all falls.
Right.
That's the purpose that they're doing that right now. But once they try to take away funds, shut down this, stop grants from that, every single time that they tried to do, even with these tariffs, when they saw it, people were really flipped out about that. And it wasn't
Right.
just Democrats, it's Democrats and Republicans like, oh no, you just wreck the economy. And we all started tripping. The moment we all started tripping and they can see us rising up, they're like, wait a minute, we don't have everything that we need in place yet. We don't need that uprising right now. So we need to just kind of say, okay, we're going to back up off of this to just like calm them down. And once they did that, us on the left, we still wound up about it.
Right.
Those on the right who support Trump and all that, all of a sudden they're like, okay, he backed off of it. Deep breath, everything's going to be fine. And then to top it off, they have a narrative now that they can say, oh, he was never going to implement the tariffs. He just used that to bully those other countries and get what it is that he wanted. So now here we are on the left, screaming our heads off all by ourselves again. And the right is being quiet again. What we have to
Right.
do is like piss them off again so that we're all like screaming the same thing at the same time and put the pressure on them, because the only thing we could do is get him impeached at this point. That's all that we could do. But you know how much pressure we have to put on Congress to get them to impeach him? It's going to be a lot. And the right, they're going to have to do it. And they have excuses right now not to do it. So I think Donald Trump, he saw the market, and then the people around him, I think, pretty much gave him permission to say, okay, back up off of that. We can spin it this way, make it sound good, made it look like your bullying tactics work. But the people behind the scenes, they need everything in place before we could do any kind of uprising. It's like we're uprising quicker than what they thought we would. So anytime they can see us getting out of hand and they see us tripping a little bit, they do and say whatever they can to kind of like quiet us or appease us. It's not working with us, but it's working with the other half of the country that just don't get it yet. That's,
I was
I think
talking to
that was,
TJ yesterday. I was talking to TJ on a live yesterday, and I said, and he agreed that I was a little disappointed that the tariffs didn't happen, because it goes back to what you said before, in that we kind of needed the tariffs to happen in order to people to feel pain. That sounds mean to say, but it's in fact true. Until people feel the pain, until they get bit in the ass by it, they aren't going to react to it. It's unfortunate, but that's that's just the way it fucking is.
and
Um,
who are not the only people that know that?
yeah,
Justin
go ahead.
Trudeau and Parliament, they know that. The Canadian people, they know that. And that's why they were saying with these tariffs, and you know who else knows that? Sheinbaum, the Mexican president, she knows that, because first thing they said was, with these tariffs, we are going to put it in place to where the red states hurt the most. That's who
Right.
needs to feel this. And the reason that they know that that's who needs to feel this is because they need those red states right along with the blue states pushing back against the government. It's not going to happen if it's just half of the country going against the other half of the country, because now we're just beefing with each other. It's just a bunch of distractions. But once they put those tariffs on, and you got those Trump supporting people in the North sitting in the dark because they don't have no power, they are ready to start tripping and putting pressure on the administration. If they know they have to pay extra, like in lumbar, they can't get the goods that they need. When you make these targets, the red states, that's a complete game changer. And the people behind the scenes, behind Trump, they know that. Targeting the red states was strategic. They wasn't doing that to be petty. It was strategic. Make them sit in the dark. Make them not be able to afford food or groceries or lumber. Make them not be able to build anything. Like, we have to make the red states hurt. And then as soon as they came out and said, okay, we're backing up off the tariffs, we only use that. And look, we got extra border agents. We got extra this, extra that. The first thing, the red states just fell right on in line, went back to their talking points when it came to Trump. They got quiet. They don't want to push back anymore. It's all good. We have to do something to make the red states not only mad and ready to push back, but they have to stay angry and keep pushing back. And they are not ready to do that right now.
Well, you know, the thing about it is that he did not stop the Chinese tariffs. I think he might next week, because as soon as the Chinese tariffs took place, China came back and said, all right, we're adding 15% on coal, 15% on liquefied gas, 15% on farm equipment. And that pissed off Donald Trump. Did you hear what he did next? He basically said the United States Postal Service will not accept any mail from China anymore. This was, you know, his other shot to show how tough he is. And it's not going to work, because most things, you know, the things like things coming from places you buy stuff from come from UPS or FedEx or something like that. So it really doesn't make that much difference. It's just Donald Trump trying to show he's tough. He's a show pony. He's performative. Nothing he does really has any substance, but he's always going to try to look like the tough guy. And, you know, I think that's one of the things we need to focus on. We know he's weak. He thinks he's strong. He wants everybody to believe he's strong. So we've got to keep exposing the fact that he is a weak motherfucker.
Yeah. And we have to, like, it's not really like me being mean or not liking red states over blue states, because I think we're all American, and I think we all deserve a president. And right now, there's only a small percentage of us who has a president. Basically, if you are a straight white, you have a president. The rest of us, including women, we on our own. And I think that what we have to do is those red states, it has to be something to wake them up. And right now they are not. I think maybe they might be half, like maybe trying to open their eyes a little bit, but they don't understand. They're just believing this crap. And the scary part about it is, I think when they do wake up, at that point, it'll be too late. He will already have money in this stupid account that he's trying to create, and he won't need to go to Congress for anything. And everybody's like, oh, the courts, the courts, the courts. But here's the thing. Once you have your bank account and a judge or somebody rules against you, it's like, okay, yeah, cool, you ruled against me. Now what are you going to do about it? Go ahead, implement it. Do whatever it is that you got to do. And then,
but where's that money going to come from? Where is the money? It's not going to come from Congress, because they're the ones that hold the purse strings.
There's so much money that there's I can't think of the name. What was the name of the account that he's trying to do? I think I texted you about it yesterday.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. A sovereign account, where it's like a separate slush fund, so he can buy TikTok, which isn't true.
You have a sovereign account, right? And there's no oversight on it. No oversight at all. You can have money put in there from, I don't know, maybe Viktor Orban, somebody that he might be standing on stage with for some random reason. It could be Elon Musk putting money in there. It could be Vladimir Putin putting money in there. If there's no oversight, we have absolutely no idea where the money is coming from and how much is going in there. And then to top it off, we have Elon Musk over here with access to our payment systems, trillions and trillions of dollars. You don't think him and the Geek Squad could put some money up in that account? Of course they can do that. Of course they can do that. They need to put us in a position to where they don't need Congress, and the justice system isn't going to do anything about it. We already know the Republicans are not going to do anything. Democrats, I'm sorry, but I've had 2-year-olds hit me harder than what Democrats are doing right now. I was pissed off. The guy who they chose over AOC, he was standing in front of the Treasury Department. And he said, which is the dumbest damn thing I ever heard in my life, Elon Musk, if you want to be in a government position and you want to be able to do all of this, you should run for office.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to say to him? And Elon Musk goes into the Treasury Department and the U.S. Marshals have his back? And that's supposed to be some kind of threat? He's supposed to be scared of that? It was the dumbest thing I ever heard in my life.
You might as well call him a poopy butt and dare him to run for office. Yeah, that's one of the things I've always said. I've never claimed to be a Democrat or a Republican. I like Democrats better than Republicans because Republicans are a dumpster fire. But I'm really frustrated by the weakness that the Democratic side shows. We haven't seen any strength out of them in 9-10 years. Nothing. Every time something goes down and the Republicans do something and spit in their face, they just kind of wipe their face and keep going. You come to a point where you've got to get down in the mud and fight with them. You got to be just as mean, just as dirty. And I'm hoping some people are waking up to that, but I don't know for sure because I haven't seen it out of them yet.
We have to do something to wake up the red states. And I got to tell you, the senators and the Congress people from the House on the Republican side, I don't like these people. I think they are some of the most racist, vile, despicable human beings I have ever seen in my life. And for the minorities in the Republican Party, I think they're a bunch of sellouts, tap dancing, bootlickers. That's all that they are.
Yeah.
However, I can't get mad at their gangster side. They don't want to play by the rules. They want to swing dirty. They want to do whatever it is that they need to do to not only be in power, but maintain power. And we're not matching energy at all. I saw Hakeem Jeffries. He posts the plan for resisting Trump. Why the hell did you post that? Because the only thing the Republicans are about to do is download it. Okay, boom. This is what we need to do to block all of this from happening. So right now, that's not worth the paper that he typed it on. They don't know how to push it at all. This is just ridiculous.
I've always liked Hakeem Jeffries, but since Donald Trump's been running for president, and then now that he's won the presidency, the whole situation with Joe Biden, I've been woefully disappointed in Hakeem Jeffries. It's not that he doesn't have the ability or he doesn't have the oratory ability. The problem is he seems like he's obliged to the old guard, the Joe Bidens, the Nancy Pelosi's, the Chuck Schumers. And as long as he's doing that, he's pretty much worthless to us because that doesn't work. We should have figured that out by now. We need another tact. And if he can't join the young people and do what they need to do, he should step aside and let somebody more capable.
That is exactly what the problem is. Hakeem Jeffries, he has like a big flaw, and it's his fatal flaw. And that's his inability to tell Nancy Pelosi, look, thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate working up under your tutelage. However, you and your broken hip, y'all need to go over there and sit down and watch how this is handled. He needs to do the same thing with Chuck Schumer. Like, hey, you need to get on board with what we got going over here. It's not that he doesn't have the ability to be a leader, but he is just kind of like restrained by what they want him to do. I think that him as a leader right now, for what I'm seeing, is Nancy Pelosi, but they put a different face on it to kind of like keep us, like to pacify us a little bit. Like they knew we were getting tired of Nancy Pelosi and all this other kind of crap. So she's like, hey, I'll put Hakeem Jeffries up there, but he pretty much her mouthpiece. And I'm like, you can't be like that. Not right now, because democracy on the line is insane. The crap that they have planned for women and girls is absolutely insane. It, they had a meeting at the White House a week ago. No minorities, no women, no nothing. The stuff that I've been warning people about, they are putting that into legislation. On top of that, they're putting in legislation for voter ID, like your actual state ID. It's not going to be valid to show proof and register anymore. It's going to have to be a passport and your birth certificate. Not and or, but you need a passport and your birth certificate if you want to be able to vote. Your straight state ID, your driver's license, all that stuff, that's not going to be acceptable anymore. And that's
Listen,
legislation that they're trying to put through right now, as well as not only a federal abortion ban, but they don't want women, anytime you're in those childbearing years, certain medications you cannot have, certain treatments for cancer you cannot have, period, point blank. That's going to be it. And they're like, while we're talking about this crap over here, that's what they're behind the scenes doing. But we can't stop them from doing this crap behind the scenes until we handle all this crap over here first. It's like every other day they're throwing something, throwing something, throwing something. They know exactly what they're doing. They wrote a whole book about it called Project 2025. That's what they're doing. We're like in the
but
middle of it.
but doesn't all that have to pass through Congress? I mean, they can write a bill. They've written many bills, not all pass through Congress. I mean, even with like the federal ID or whatever it is, isn't
Mm-hmm.
the identification for elections, even if they're federal in a state, are controlled by the state? They got to do something to override the state. And I have a feeling they're going to have a tough time doing that.
Okay.
You,
I
you
think
don't
that's
think they'll
part of
have a
the
problem with. You tell me. No,
I
wait a
think
minute,
that's
old
part of the
soul. Old
problem.
soul. You
Yeah.
think they're going to put a bill like this in Congress and it's going to pass? You believe that with a two
I'm not saying
seat margin and the filibuster? You think that's going to pass?
I'm not saying it's gonna pass, but who is telling you that it has to pass?
What do you mean? Who's telling us who has to?
Because people are acting like, oh, he can't do that. It has to go through Congress first. In the meantime, he's doing it. They can't do that. It has to go through Congress first. In the meantime, it's getting done. Like the normal chain that happens in order for this stuff to go into effect, you have to act like those barriers are not there. They're
No,
not
I
going to
understand
act
it.
like those barriers are there. I feel like that those bills and all that stuff that they're coming up with, I don't even think it's going to have to pass Congress. These are things that's going on behind the scenes. When they're having these meetings and these bills and all this other kind of stuff that's going on, there's no Democrats there. There's no state representatives there. It's just nobody but oligarchs and Republicans that are there that are doing this stuff. So if we're sitting back like, okay, we're going to be good because it's not going to go through Congress, and then we turn around and you're not able to vote because you don't have a passport and a birth certificate, people are going to be looking crazy because
Well,
it's like,
now,
well, they
now
weren't supposed to
it's
do
not. It's
that.
not. It's not a matter of. I'm not going to worry about it because it has to go through Congress because Congress is troublesome in the first place. Let's talk about the voter thing.
Go ahead.
You're saying that they're going to try to pass a law where you need on a federal level to do the IDs. Very specifically, all elections are handled by the state. The federal people like Donald Trump, without some congressional thing, they can't dictate what the state does any more than they can with abortion. Now, if they pass a federal abortion law, then they do have that authority. But with elections, they're going to have a hard time doing that. Donald Trump can't just stand up and say, yeah, we're going to do that right now. Because I got to tell you, old soul, if that's what you believe, then all is lost. Why are we even doing this? See, this is
Just
my
like they're
problem
not
with
supposed
people
to be,
saying,
just like they're not supposed to be in states right now rounding people up. They are not supposed to be doing that right now.
right,
What states do you know right now that is giving the federal government permission to go into their states and round up immigrants? Which state gave them permission to do that?
none of them. But it's a
But they're
that
doing it.
we're talking about something that's federal with regards to immigration, and
Okay.
when we're talking about elections, that's a state thing. It's two different things. They can't walk in and tell a state how to run their elections. It just can't.
I'll say I
Now, in terms,
hope and I pray that you are right and that I am wrong. I really hope so. I really
Well,
hope.
I think we all make a mistake when and I'll tell you why this frustrates me sometimes. When
Mhm.
somebody comes in and suggests all is lost, we've already lost, there's nothing we can do, everybody's screwed up. If you don't have some kind of hope or some kind of intention to win, to me, you have to have the right mindset to get things done. And if somebody comes to me and says all is lost, they piss me off because you fucked up the vibe. If you're not confident that anything can happen, then why do anything? Why even try?
I'm not saying that all hope is lost because if I did, I wouldn't be on the road. What I'm
Exactly.
saying is that we are underestimating what it is that they are doing behind the scenes. There's not enough people paying attention. And I think that we are relying too much on this is the chain of command. They can't do that unless they go through these steps first. When we clearly see them sidestepping the system at every single turn. That's what I'm trying to say. That's all I'm trying
All
to
right.
say. Hope
Uh,
you're right about this. That's the way that it's supposed to be. But if we as a people don't stand together and push back against that, a lot of stuff that's not supposed to happen, it will happen.
well, here's the deal. He says a lot of things. He claims he's going to do a lot of things. But what I've
I'm
told
not
you before, he's
shit.
incompetent. He's incompetent, right? He's
Trump
failed at
is.
everything he's failed at everything he's tried. Even Elon Musk, the whole federal fund freezing of the fund thing, not happening. Tariffs, not happening. He doesn't think about what he's doing. He just goes out and makes noise. As I've told you before, Donald Trump is a show pony. He has no substance behind him. And if you think Elon is a mastermind where he can do all the things that Donald Trump can't do, Elon fails his fucking share too. Just take a look at Twitter. He turned a $44 billion fucking uh, uh, social media thing and turned it into a $9 million one. These people are all reactionary. They are all emotional. What they're trying to do right now, when you get upset or afraid about what they're doing, they're winning because that's the whole strategy here. Make people afraid, make them confused. That's why you got to keep a clear mind and keep pushing forward and keep fighting. Let me ask you this. You say that this is happening or this could happen. What's the answer to it? What's the resolution?
The resolution is A, stop him from being able to get that fund, get money in that fund, stop him from having the ability to sidestep Congress. In
Mm-hmm.
addition to that, have the people push back. We need those three things. And even if us pushing back does nothing but hold them and their plans off for 2 years until we can vote. But the reason that they're moving so quickly and so rapidly is because they know that they only have 2 years to do this crap. We have to
Right.
move and act on the same kind of wavelength. We need to say, okay, we only got 2 years to hold them off so that we can get to the next election or so that we can push back and get him impeached and out. But we are not moving quick enough. They are moving at warp speed because they already know what it is. We're kind of like falling behind on them right now, and we have to try to catch up somehow. But not only catch up, surpass him. I don't think that we have the leadership to do it right now. It's like you said, it's up to us. We're kind of like on our own right now at this point.
We're definitely on our own. And you and I agree. People say, what are we going to do? What do we need to do? Well, there's really only one option. There's only really one option. And that's you're suggesting the same thing I am. You got to talk loud. You got to talk constantly. You got to be tough and you got to keep pushing back. And it does work with public
And
opinion. We've seen it work.
if you are in a position, you can't be scared. Like
No, you can't be scared.
it can be scary, but don't be scared. Like it's
That's their
crazy. You know how
goal.
you always
They
I'm
want you
afraid of
scared.
you mother suckers, right? You know how you say that? The wild child, she like recorded you saying it. She made it kind of like a little ringtone. So anytime like she calls me, that's the ringtone of you saying that. But you just have to kind of know that a lot of people sacrificed for this particular democracy that we have right now. And it's a lot of people behind the scenes, and I'm one of them that's not
Yeah,
going
absolutely.
to just sit there and
Absolutely.
let that happen without a fight. It's the other part. And I really do think like that's like for you and your podcast and other people like you, I think like that's what y'all are here to do is to just like keep pounding this into MAGA's heads. And like a lot of those diehards you're not going to reach, but there are Republicans that you can reach and that can realize what's going on, and they're not going to be cool with it. And they have to send a message somehow that they're not cool with this.
Yeah,
Somebody
no,
asked me what can they do, and I don't know if this will help or not, but this was my suggestion. You voted for Donald Trump. You've been a lifelong Republican. If it was me, I would change my party affiliation. I would go
yeah,
online right now, change my affiliation, whether you want to put independent, Democrat, whatever. If enough people do that, then those who are in power, they're just cowards anyway. They want to be
yeah,
voted into the next election. If they could see them losing their registered voters, those faithful voters, especially if you are like older and you are a reliable voting bloc, if they can see that falling off, that could make a difference, even though I don't know how many people who vote for Republicans are inclined to do that. Because it's like being
yeah.
a Republican is like a religion to these people. They don't stray off of that.
Well, most of them don't know enough about anything. They just go with headlines and whatever Donald Trump screams. And that's one of the biggest problems we have in this country. There are people that are unaware, ill informed, and just flat out
Yeah.
stupid. It's unfortunate. But what I was getting at before is there's a lot of people out there going, I'm just so sad. We don't have time to be fucking sad. Yeah, there's people going to get hurt, but we got to save the greater good here. And we've got to do that. So we don't make ourselves sad. We make ourselves mad. And then we use
Yeah.
that anger to do what we need to do. It's too late to be sad and sorry. It's now time to be mad. There's going to be some collateral damage because Donald Trump was elected. Some people are
Yeah.
going to be hurt. It's unfortunate. I don't like to see it, but at this point, we got to try to stop it before more people are hurt. And
Yeah.
it's an unfortunate situation we could have avoided if people had half a fucking brain and didn't vote for Donald Trump, but that didn't happen. So we've got to be here to fix it for the stupid people.
Yeah. I think that all emotions are like energy. And it's just kind of like, are you running off of a sad energy and a passive energy, or are you running off of a motivated type of energy, or an angry type of energy, or are you hyped up
Right.
about something type of energy? It's just kind of like if you could take that sadness and just kind of say, I don't feel like being sad right now, so let me just try to do something else. You'll be surprised like how quickly that energy could like turn into something that'll, I don't know, even if it's talking to one person about it. And I think a lot of people, they don't understand where MAGA come from, and like how are these people this dense? How are these people that stupid? Donald Trump tapped into a lot of ignorant people. And when I mean ignorant, I mean these people were not involved in politics at all. They didn't know
Yeah.
state representatives. They know nothing about politics until Donald Trump tapped into that. So they don't know how the system works. They don't know what the government does for them. They have health insurance and they didn't even know the name of the health insurance, and they're sitting there voting to cancel it. Like these people really don't know. So it's not like stupidity, but they are ignorant to the system and how it works because they went their whole lives not being a part of it. A lot of the people that voted for Trump, their first time voting was in 2016. That was their first time voting. He tapped into that ignorant part of the population where they really just didn't know. That's not an excuse for them today, but I do think those left over today, I think those have to be cult members. They have to be. That video I
Oh,
showed you
yeah.
about that guy, oh yeah, their brains is gone for you to get to that point where you would lose your life for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Insane to me.
But I'm all for anybody who supports Donald Trump to lose their life. If they want to lose their life, Godspeed to
I'm
you.
not.
Let it happen. Well, I am because I don't give a shit about these people. You know, we I was talking to my wife about this, and she says we don't want anybody to die. I will tell you this: I don't want anybody who's innocent to be hurt or die. But if you're guilty, I don't give a fuck. If It's just culling the herd. It's just the survival of the fittest. And these people aren't very fit mentally. And in the end, they will struggle mightily because be broken because every thought and belief that they have will be broken ultimately. And they won't know where to turn, and there won't be anybody to turn. You know, Donald Trump is a freak of nature. He is the one guy that can lead these dumb fucks. He is the king of the dumb fucks. But when
Yeah,
he goes by the wayside, either by God or by law, if he goes by the wayside, there really is nobody to replace him. There will be people who take his position, like a JD Vance or something, but it won't
yeah.
be the same. It will break. It'll break the spell, so to speak. Nothing will be as strong and as loud and as obnoxious as it is with Donald Trump in charge.
I think, oh my gosh, but were you more gangster than me? I think
What?
that if there is someone who can be helped or deprogrammed or something to that effect, I would rather see that than for those people not to be here any longer. However, I will admit, and it's kind of like my middle ground with you on this one. I will admit that if you have a family member and they lose their life because of they were following Donald Trump and this whole MAGA movement, I think that that would motivate their friends and their family to fight back against that. That could be a motivator of the survivors. But I would rather not see it in the first place. If they could be helped, I would rather them get the help that they need. Because I do think a lot of these people are just brainwashed. Clearly, some of the stuff that I've been seeing these people go through and even die for this crap, it's just their minds is gone, completely
Well, the
gone.
thing about it is, the question is, can they be rehabilitated? But more importantly to that, do they want to be rehabilitated? Because they can't be
Some of them don't.
rehabilitated unless they're willing.
You're right. Some of them don't. Some of them is like they are completely enamored and they love the racism and the sexism that's going on. They love it. They really do love it.
Yeah. You know, I've said this before, and you can answer this better than I can. This is just an observation I've made over my long life. In the 60s, even the 70s, racism was rampant. Racism wasn't a thing that anybody worried about. It was just there. It was, I won't say it was cool to be racist, but you didn't get in trouble by being racist like you would later on. And then
Yeah.
things quieted down with racism. You didn't hear it as much. And everybody, all the white people said, well, racism's going away. And I always said, no, nah, it's not gone away. It's just under the cover of darkness. Donald Trump comes along, makes it okay to be racist, and it comes back up again. My contention is that racism isn't any better now than it was in the 30s or 40s. It's always been there. It's just a matter of how above the waterline they've been. Does that make sense to you as somebody who is of color?
Yeah, I think that it's a different type of racism
Yeah.
because a lot of people previously they're kind of okay with the dog whistles. They're okay with the behind the closed doors racism. Like I don't know, it's kind of like racism with etiquette, you know. If that makes sense. But I think that what we're looking at right now is colonizers, and people don't understand the difference in that. But these are colonizers. A big part of that is you can listen to the things that they say. They can say, oh, Greenland, they have these natural minerals and these resources, instead of like working with that government, setting up some type of trade deal, being diplomatic. Oh, we're just gonna go over there and take their stuff.
Yeah.
It's ours. We're entitled to that. We are America. We are white men. We got the army. We're just going to go over there and take that. When you look at what they're trying to take, what they're trying to do, even Gaza, they're just saying, you know what? It'll be really good if we put some property over there. It's too bad all these brown people is running around. You know, we could just go ahead and just level that. When they say level that, they're talking about mass genocide that they want to do. This is racism, but these are colonizers. That's the difference. And that makes them far more dangerous than what we've seen in the past. They're not dressing it up at all. When somebody says, you know what, the federal government, we're not going to recognize MLK Day anymore. We're not going to recognize any type of like women's march movement, none of that. No, 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 no. We should be in charge. This is ours. We're taking it, period. That's the difference between what you saw before and what you're seeing right now. And colonizers are the most ruthless, cutthroat people you will ever meet in your life, period.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm glad you brought up Gaza, you know, the Israeli Hamas war. And I did a TikTok talking to those Democrats that didn't vote for Joe Biden because he was Genocide Joe. They didn't like what he was doing. But Genocide Joe, by the way, was all for the two-state solution.
Yeah.
So we have the ceasefire, assuming everything goes through. And I don't know that that's a foregone conclusion, given some things that have happened. Not all the hostages have been released yet. Donald Trump was in a press conference yesterday with Bibi Netanyahu, two bigger clowns you won't find anywhere, two evil people. Um, but Donald Trump has suggested, and Bibi Netanyahu's going along with it, that they somehow scatter the Palestinians to the winds and place them in other countries around the area, making them refugees, clearing out Gaza. That's exactly what he said, clearing out Gaza. It's a terrible place with all the bombed out buildings and stuff. We just want to level it, clean it out, and then turn it into something beautiful, a la a resort or something like that, because it happens to be by the sea. I hope all these Democrats that didn't vote for Joe Biden because they said he was Genocide Joe are happy with the outcome, because the outcome is about the worst possible outcome that could be for the Palestinian people. You thought you were helping the Palestinian people. Basically, you fucked over the Palestinian people in this process. It's, you know, they talked about, well, what about the hostages? Well, no, he said this about the Palestinians. What, the Palestinians, you want to make them refugees out of other countries, all stuff. Yeah, well, they're just unlucky people. They're in the wrong place at the wrong time. And then he says, well, what about the other hostages? He says, well, you got to understand those hostages are pretty damaged people. Basically, disregarding them, the Palestinians, the hostages, all this stuff. He doesn't care. He wants to level this place and turn it into another Trump fucking tower and make it look like a pimp palace, because that's all he's capable of. When you heard
Bedbugs.
that, that had to irritate you.
It did. I will say what you just said, and a lot of other people have said, because those people who either voted for Stein or said it out and didn't vote at all,
Yeah,
um, I could just
you did
imagine
this.
the weight of the guilt and the pain that they're feeling, and I don't want to contribute to that. But I understand when people say that, why they say that. Um,
I'm not as
they
nice a
don't.
person as you are. I'm happy to contribute to their pain because they fucking deserve it.
Um, I think it's just atrocious and it's sad. And
Yeah,
I
it
think that
absolutely is.
Donald Trump doesn't look at people. He doesn't look at children or families or anything like that. To him, that's beachfront property. And when he says level it, I just want people to understand level it. It that he's talking about is people,
Yeah,
children, women, hospitals. He is, instead of saying people, even the hostages, he's calling them it. And that's how he looks at them. It's it. These its are in the way of my property. These its
right.
are in the way of whatever it is that he's trying to do. I think that this move right here is going to spark something. And people want to say that he was the never wars president. I don't know where they got that crap from, but um, the people who believed in that, I think that that could be something that if we drill that home, that maybe they could stick with us and push back and like keep going with it. Um, because this is going to completely, the Middle East is going to be out of control. I don't think
Yeah.
the king of Jordan is going to sit back and be cool with this. To be honest with you, I think this is going to be a ripple effect in the Middle East, and any of our servicemen and women Like my hearts go out to them and their family, because what's about to happen in the Middle East as a result of this, it's not going to be good. It's going to be a lot of bloodshed over this for Donald
What
Trump to
what
be some,
what he also said was that he would put American military there to keep it safe,
yeah.
that we would own it for the long term. The USA would own the Gaza Strip for the long term. Baby Netanyahu didn't say anything against that either in this press conference. He was asked and he kind of shuffled around it. Uh, but what people have to understand is you can put US military over there, but the Middle East has been a tinderbox for 100 years or more, hundreds of years. It's been a tinderbox. There's a lot of fighting there. If you put US military in that spot, you are putting targets on their backs. These people are fighting for their God, and they will do whatever they want. It is their country, it is their area, and you are going to see terroristic attacks on US military, if they are stationed in Gaza. Fucking guaranteed.
I tried to make it sound cute by saying my heart goes out to anyone in the military and there would be bloodshed. But you said it flat out. If you put military troops right there, they will be bombed.
Yeah,
They
there'll
are
be
not,
drones, there'll be all kinds of shit.
they are not going to be able to be there peacefully. That's just not going to happen. And you look at who he's put in charge of the military right now. Do you think we're going to be strategic, or do you think we're just going to be lashing out of emotions from Hegseth, Donald Trump? And those are the ones that's supposed to keep in mind that yes, these are our soldiers, yes, these are our troops, but that's America. Those are our people. Those are lives, and they don't look at them as people. Republicans have a habit of saying, I want my soldiers battle ready. I want my soldiers to be this, and this. They want to release the ones that's convicted of war crimes and all of that. They want them to be little wind up toys that you just put a battery in their back, wind them up, and they're just supposed to point their guns and just do whatever it is that they are programmed to do. That's how they see them. And this is not going to be good
And
at
what you
all.
said before was colonizers, colonization. And that's exactly what he's talking about
Mhm.
doing in Greenland and in Panama, but we don't know where that whole
Yeah,
thing is at. But if he's going to go into Gaza and take ownership for the country of the United States of
yeah,
America, that is colonization. And I guarantee you,
yeah,
there is nobody in the Middle East that's going to be fucking happy about that, because even the Israelis don't like the Palestinians there, but they want that property for their own. They don't want the USA to have it. They want
yeah,
it. Now, whether that's right or wrong, it doesn't matter, because it's counterproductive to what Donald Trump says is going to happen. That comment is probably going to make him very unpopular in Israel.
yeah.
Yeah, clear him out,
I
but
think
then leave us alone. That's not what he's talking about.
no. I think that people who don't understand, they need to look up colonization. If they don't want to take Black folks' words for it, if they don't want to take our Native American or Indigenous people's words for it, you need to look it up and see what
Yeah,
happens when you have colonizers like Donald Trump and his cohorts. What it is that they do when they go and they see natural resources in somebody else's country, on somebody else's land. What it is that they do when they go and take over that country and take over that land. It's a whole history in America. How do you think we got here? These are very brutal people, and the things that they do, it's atrocious. I don't think anybody is ready to see that yet, but these are the type of people that we're talking about, and they're saying this out loud. When you say level
absolutely.
it, calling people it, you just see natural resources, or you see some kind of way that it could benefit you, and you feel that you're entitled to that. You feel like you could just go and take that because you can, because you have the biggest army, or because you have the best weapons. You feel like you could just do that. I don't think the Middle East is something that we want to spark. However, we don't have anyone right now saying no, we're not going to do that. And if they are saying it, they are not somebody in power that can change that at all. the best thing that we can do is try to hold them off for 2 years, and we can get people in there who can not only impeach him, but actually convict him in the Senate. And that takes both the House and the Senate. That's a lot of work that we have in the meantime. And they are moving at like warp speed. I did want to say about the Gaza, when they were talking about the $50 million in condoms.
Yeah.
His people are so stupid. They don't know the difference between like Gaza, the Palestinians, and Gaza in South Africa. When they hear condoms, we gave aid to South Africa. And part of that aid that we gave to them, it wasn't $50 million worth, but part of the aid that we gave them was contraceptives. And the reason that we did that is because there's a part in Gaza, there's like this small part. And the reason that I know so much about it is because my honey is South African, but there's like a small like hub in that area. And the AIDS virus was spreading rapidly. So what we did was we went in and we took them medicine, supplies, but in addition to that, we educated the people on how to stop the spread of this particular virus. And part of educating them was educating them on contraceptives, birth control, condoms, that type of thing. That was like some of the aid that we provided them. In addition to the reason that we provided them that aid, we wanted to not only slow the spread down, but we learned through science and that could spread to other countries and it could eventually come here as well. So they wanted to stop it before it could get out of hand. But not only that, we wanted to provide them that aid so they could, it kind of like help during apartheid to help lift the people up out of that. Because if we wouldn't have done that, then they would have been leaning on those particular people who did want to keep apartheid going. That's what they wanted to do. But if we were over there to help them get healthy and get themselves up out of that situation, it helped that cause. And I think when they're talking about the $50 million in condoms, that's what they're talking about. And that's also the reason that you will see Elon Musk right now is saying that white South Africans are being discriminated against. And he wants to bring as many of them to America as he can. And once he gets those people out, it's not going to be good for the African people.
Yeah. You know, when we talk about colonization, I'm not sure people understand what colonization is. You said to look it up. I want to break it down in simpler terms so people understand the essence of colonization. If you go into Greenland or go into Gaza or go into Panama because you're bigger and stronger and just take it, okay? People think that's a good thing. Break it down in simpler terms. What if some guy who's bigger and stronger wants to rape your daughter and should have that right simply because he's bigger and stronger? How do you feel about colonization then? Because that's essentially what it is. I'm going to take what I want. I'm going to steal what I want. I'm going to commit the crimes I want because I'm bigger and stronger. That doesn't work. That's not how America is. That's how some stupid, evil motherfuckers are, but that's not who we are. And that's why the whole colonization thing makes no sense. We need to be able to control this fucking country. We don't need to expand the country because Donald Trump can't handle what he's fucking got.
Yeah. And I think that like some people, they're shocked with the language of some of the more 2025 white supremacists, how when Donald Trump won the election, that whole my body, my choice, and, you know, certain states like Texas right now, their rape kits are backlogged by like years. And then they put these restrictions on the women because if you report it and you end up pregnant, then you're going to go to prison if you try to have an abortion or anything like that. The reason that and then look at AOC, look at Jasmine Crockett. If you look at the type of threats that they get, the first threats that they get is they want to rape you. They want to do those types of things to you. That's like the first thing that these people say. And the reason that they say that is that they believe that they are entitled to it and they can just take it. And it doesn't matter whether it's land, whether it's a country, whether it's your daughter, whether it's you as a woman, they feel like they can just take it and they're entitled to that. And that's the mindset. And the only thing that's happening right now with the Republican Party is they are letting them know that it's okay to think like that. It's okay to say that. It's okay to have that type of behavior. And you're
Yeah.
seeing it repeated. It's going from the top all the way down. Um, and you have to believe that when these type of people go into other countries, these assaults, they will be happening. And I know a lot of people like to look at Pocahontas and think that it was this great love story. It
Yeah.
was not. It was not. That's how she was. That's what happened to her and a lot of other women when colonizers came to this country. That's just like I don't like talking about it, but that's just the straight hard truth of what happened. And people need to understand that when they are taking people out of the military, there are certain people that they want in our military. They want these people to be able to go to these other countries and act with that level of entitlement and brutality. That's
Right.
what they want. And that's what they're pushing for right now. It's very dangerous with the department heads that he's putting in place. But not only that, but the people he's removing from senior positions, because these are the type of people that would stop that. These are the type of people that will hold soldiers accountable.
Yeah.
They don't want those
Well,
type of people in the military. They want the most vicious, brutal, and they want people in the military that join for those reasons. Typically, we can rule those kind of people out. That's the type of people they want to attract. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people who would sign up for that.
last night I did a live on TikTok. I always like doing those because I can bring on the regulars and a lot of people in the crowd can come on and talk. And it's good to hear from a lot of different people. From time to time, we get a Trump-a-fuck that happens upon us. And we had one last night.
Mm.
Um, and I bring this up because this was an area you wanted to talk about. I didn't know he was a Trump-a-fuck at first. I kind of got a sense he might be because he was talking a little tougher than he actually was. But he brought up U.S. aid, okay? And he was saying, why wouldn't we want to shut that down? It's got all this dark money. It's done this and done that. And I go, wait a minute. I have never heard that before. What's your sources for that? And of course, he can't give any sources. And then Rebecca said, wait a minute. Who'd you fucking vote for? He goes, Trump. I go, oh, shit. Now this is going to go south for you, buddy, because you're not very smart. And so you wanted to talk about this thing. That's one of the places that Elon Musk broke into. He's got a real hard on for U.S. aid. And maybe you can expand on that for us.
One of the things like in America that we could have pride on is being a leader. But not only that, but just a lot of the poverty around the world, lack of resources that some of these countries have. That's what we were
Yeah.
there for. We have thousands of Americans who actually go into these countries and do good work. Just
Right.
look at Doctors Without Borders, for example. They cut that aid off. And the reason that it hits a nerve with me is because my honey's family is in South Africa right now. And
Right.
every 2 weeks when he gets paid, kind of like we call it his child support, because he always says like 250 to his mother. And I don't know if you know any like older people, they will not leave their house. uh, she didn't want to leave her home, but she had to because she had a steady income coming in.
Right.
And it gets to a point where people are desperate. And if they see that you have any kind of income coming in, you could afford food, anything like that, then you start to see kidnappings going on in some of these areas. So it's like either don't send your mother or your family any more money, or they have to leave. And she had to leave her home. People are literally without that aid, they starve. There's like children die from hunger. Not just South Africa, that's just the one that I'm most familiar with because his girls, they're here. Their mother is in South Africa. I love them as if they're my own. But we do make sure that they get their video calls with her and they stay in touch with their natural mother. And
Right.
she is in these areas with her new husband and her sons. There's no food when the aid stopped. There's no medicine. Hospitals close. And the people there just, you have to like kind of like be, you have to scrounge for anything to feed your children and to feed yourself.
Yeah.
And people are desperate. And the aid was cut off because Elon Musk and Donald Trump just thought that it was a waste of money. And so they cut the aid off. And there's nothing that these people can do. And it's a lot of people like the one you were telling me about. I'm glad I didn't hear that episode. It probably would have pissed me off. But there's people that think, oh, that's just a waste of money. And when you look at it from our end, they say, hey, we don't need to be given aid. We don't need to feed starving children. We don't need to make sure there's hospitals in other countries. We don't need to stop the spread of AIDS and HIV. We don't need to do that because we need to take care of home first. So let's just say we don't give any money to these countries or these children. We don't give any money to them. Do you think they're going to take that money and just start, you know what, we can invest in public schools? Do you think they're going to take that money and say, yeah, you know what, we can make sure that no child in America goes hungry? Do you think they're going to take that money and give free lunch to children in school? No, they're not. They're saying to these people, and these Trump supporters are repeating this bullshit that if we stop giving other countries money, they're going to take all that money and invest it in America. When have they ever done that? They're not going to.
They've never done it.
They're going to take that money. They're going to take that aid. And we are never going to see that money. And people, children, women, literally starving to death and dying so that Donald Trump and Elon Musk could have more money in their pocket.
Yeah, it's a wholesale looting is what they're doing. They're attempting to loot the United States of America. And there are people who are willing to stand by and watch it. And that's one of the most troubling things I see. I've said before, if there's going to impeachment, it has to be initiated by the Republicans because of the control they have. And the Republicans have to be at a point where they have more to gain by impeaching him than they have to lose. And I have a feeling they will walk it up to the last minute and then they'll do it. Because Donald Trump will destroy everything around them, including the Republican Party. And as I watch some Democrats, kind of bending, Fetterman voted for Pam Bondi to be the Attorney General, and we've got the other stuff going on, and we've got people saying, well, maybe I will vote for him. Well, I'll give you an example. There's a Republican senator. His name is Dr. Cassidy. This guy had a lot of questions for RFK Jr. He's a doctor, and he knows that RFK Jr. is not qualified, that he is not only not qualified, but he is a danger to this country if he is to be put in the position of the Director of Health and Human Services. He knows this. He said that. He questioned him over and over and again, and RFK would not answer a question. Even still, yesterday, this Dr. Cassidy said, yeah, I think I might vote for RFK Jr. Now, where I have a problem with this is a doctor has to sign a Hippocratic oath. And in that Hippocratic oath, I'm not an expert on Hippocratic oaths, but I know one line in there says, do no harm. And by voting for RFK Jr., he will most certainly be doing harm. There is no integrity. There is no courage. There is no decency among any Republican and some fucking Democrats. So do we just burn the whole fucking thing down and start over? That may be where we're at this point.
Yeah, I saw a report, and like I said that last time, and I still believe it. I think every single one of these nominations will be confirmed. I hope I'm wrong, but I think they are going to be confirmed.
You're probably right.
I saw a report that said the reason that the Republicans are voting for people that they don't want to vote for and that they know are a national security threat. They know this.
Right.
It's two. They're saying half of the Republicans are saying, well, I'm going to be primaried. Elon Musk got the money and the clout to make it happen. And the other half, who is not worried about being primaried, they're saying flat out to reporters, like, our safety is at jeopardy. And I look at it like myself as like a regular citizen with some girls that I need to be at home with right now. It's like if I'm willing to go out there and do what I have to do, the people that I elect to Congress, they should be willing to do the same thing, especially when you see somebody like Donald Trump, Elon Musk, these type of people. When you run for office, you know who you're dealing with and you know who you are up against. And if that's not something that you are willing to do, if you're not willing to stick your neck out, then you don't need to be running for Congress. You
Right.
see, like Jasmine Crockett with her whole chest out, AOC with her whole chest out. And people don't understand that these two are minority women. And if you saw the kind of threats that they get, they understand what can happen. I understand what can happen. I think any minority in this country, they have to understand. When you are dealing with colonizers, they will look at girls like my wild child and they'll be like, oh, okay, blonde, blue hair, blue eyes, perfect little girl. They want to impregnate her, right? But they will
Right.
look at my daughter, they will look at my honey's daughters, and they'll be like, yeah, we'll rape you, but then we'll kill you afterwards, and we don't have to worry about that.
Right.
These are the people that right now is running our government. So when you see AOC, Jasmine Crockett, um, I can't forget the other guy's name, but when you see these people, these minorities, and you're like, they are being very loud and they are being very boisterous because they know that FAFO for us, it means something completely different than FAFO for like you and other people. It's a
Right.
completely different situation, and we don't want to have to, we know, but we don't want other people to just be like, I didn't know they would take it that far. I didn't know they would do this or do that. It's kind of like the days of, well, I didn't know that they were going to do that. That's an excuse that I don't even want to hear anymore because they're telling you and they are showing you. I think that people are just too complacent where they're just ready to just sit there and let that happen. And you like when you talk about the 60s, like when it made that change, when people started witnessing it on television, like nobody wants to be the person on television getting beat and people at home feeling sorry for them
Right.
because it's
Right.
like a road that we don't even have to go down. But
I
a lot of people, they just don't take it seriously or they're just ignorant to it altogether.
I I wrote a letter to my congressperson. I don't know who she is. I mean, I know who she is, but I don't know her at all. And I said something to her, and it's something I said in a TikTok. Given what we know about Tulsi Gabbard, what we know about RFK Jr., what we know about Kash Patel, even Pam Bondi to a certain
Yeah.
extent, what we know about them, we know they're unqualified. We know that they are a danger to this country and all of us. Given that we know that, I'm ready to say that any Democrat that votes for them should be primary. And I
I'm
will take a list of their names, and every day I will say, remember, these fuckers betrayed you and betrayed our country. They have no business being in office. And I don't give a fuck who it is. I don't care if it's somebody I like, because I'm finding out a lot of people that I thought I liked on the Democratic side, not so good. Jared Moskowitz, Fetterman.
yeah.
These people need to fucking go. If we want this country to ever be decent, these pansy ass pieces of shit that are more concerned about them being reelected than the welfare of this country, they got no business being here.
Yeah, I spoke with someone who stated that he didn't really have his wake up call until, and it's crazy because I was telling him, watch AOC's speech on the floor, watch her speech on the floor. And when she started calling out members of Congress who are now lining their pockets in these for-profit prisons, when you know what Donald Trump and Elon Musk are getting ready to do, it's not even really Donald Trump. He's like they pulling his string, but
Yeah.
the people behind the scenes, you know what they're getting ready to do with these prisons. I'm like, you need to watch it. You need to watch it. So he started watching it. He was like, please tell me that this isn't something that Democrats is cool with. Yeah,
Some are
they're looking
apparently.
at, yeah, they're looking at these people like paychecks. They don't care about the atrocities that's supposed to go on in there. It doesn't matter to them. It just does not matter. It's like, oh, how much can I get from that? And they will sign off on that in a minute, like in a nano minute. stuff people in prisons that's not maybe large enough to hold enough people or anything like that. I know that a lot of people were saying that in the red states, like they're only targeting blue states because and pulling the minorities or the immigrants out of blue states because they know that it'll be detriment to the economy, blah, blah, blah. That's
Right.
part of it. But the bigger part of that is you need to hit those blue states first. So that way, when you run hard in these red states and the governors are not going to check you, where the immigrants going to run to? You've already shut off the blue states. So you can go into these red states and you can just clean house. You can just clean it. So they want to stop them from being able to flee to the blue states. So now they're scared. They're not going to work. They're not coming to these blue states. So now when you hit those red states, where are these people going to go? They know
Yeah.
they can't come to blue states. That's just not going to happen.
Well,
And the
there's
stuff
something
that we
going on
all,
with there's something going on with the immigration that's been reported that Donald Trump's stormtroopers have released a lot of these immigrants back into the country because they're lacking money, they're lacking resources. They didn't plan any of this out. The idea that they're going to deport 18 million people is just absurd. They have no money to do it. I'm not saying
you
that they
saw
aren't
my
going to
wild child
cause
do the math.
what?
You saw my wild child do the math on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she said 300 years. I was like, what? But I did know, though, that Donald Trump did give them a quota. And I'm like, okay, now they have this quota. This is just to get ramped up. But I did know they was putting people back. I was feeling like crap a minute ago. That put a smile on my face. I
Yeah.
can't think about
Well,
women and children being in get mode. That is just
yeah.
somebody on
Yeah.
YouTube. His name is, I can't remember his name. It's like Tom something. And he made a video. And he said that in America, we always ask Anne Frank and her family, like, how did people like sit back and watch this type of thing happen and dime her and her family out? He said, when you sit around and you look at the Republican Party right now, the people who vote for Republicans, those are the people who would have snitched on Anne Frank and her family. Those are the type of people
Absolutely.
who took the reward money and told on anybody else that was hiding. And he was like, you sit here and you ask, how could they do that? Look at the Republicans around you who is not only participating in it, but they're either cheering it on or they're not saying anything at all. This is how it happened. And it hit home for me because I'm like, yeah, like I'm living with the type of people. If I brought someone into my home right now, these are the type of people who will snitch on me. These are the type of people who will say something.
Yeah.
It's weird to watch 2025 have a version of the 1940s in it. It's crazy.
It's very much like that. And, one of the things that bother me, we expect this out of the Republicans, but the Democrats are really making me mad. They're either complicit with Donald Trump because they're cowards or
Yeah.
they're quiet because they're cowards. I'll be
Yeah.
honest with you. In Congress, there's maybe a handful of Democrats that I could say I'm proud of what they're doing.
Yeah.
AOC, um, 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 AOC, Swalwell, um, um, Jasmine Crockett, maybe Jamie Raskin,
Yeah.
Sheldon Whitehouse. There's a handful of people that are doing the right thing, but it's very troubling to see the alleged good guys being part of the problem.
Yeah. For me, I think one of the most disheartening parts about it is you have people who are vying for positions that they're ready for, but they don't have the heart for it. So
No,
you put someone in, AOC would have been perfect in that role, but you put some old person who are already sick in that position. So it's not only can he not fight, he doesn't really have the gusto or the wherewithal to fight. He not supposed to stick his neck out there for nobody.
no,
I
hell
don't
no.
understand when you have people who are willing to fight and stick their neck out on the line for this country. Don't pass that person up. I mean, the least that they could do is just say, you know what, if you think you could put your neck out there, go for it, because that's not something that I'm willing to do. And I'm finding out that with these certain positions within the Democratic Party, it's just like all about the title. They don't really, they're not really gonna go hard like that. And that's sad because
No.
it's like we're without a government. You know what I mean?
Well, and the sad thing is that when you got people my age or older, They're determining things that will affect the future, a
Yeah,
future where we won't be. People your age and younger will have to deal with that. And that
yeah.
just doesn't seem right. Let these young people determine their own destiny because we fucked up what we've got to this point. So why don't we just shut up and shuffle off and let the young people figure this out? Donald Trump is not a young guy. Um, I I'll be honest with you. I've said this before, and this isn't a wish. It's like your grandmother used to say. I don't wish anybody to die, but I look forward to some obituaries to read, and I would agree with that.
I
When
do
you,
think we're in a position who have skin in the game.
yeah,
And the people that's leading, they don't have any skin in the game. They just don't.
they don't. They don't. I personally think right now the likes of Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and some of these other people are in physical danger because they've angered so many people. Donald Trump put out, and I don't know, I read this quickly, so I'm not absolutely sure it's true, but it sounds like something he would do. He wrote an executive order that said, if I'm assassinated by Iran, Iran needs to be obliterated completely.
That,
What
yep.
what what Donald Trump doesn't understand is if you're assassinated, you're no longer president. They ain't gonna do shit you tell them to do. But this tells me he's fearful of it. We know Iran has had hit squads looking for him, and I would bet you, I will guarantee you, Elon Musk is on somebody's list or a few people's list, and he isn't as protected as Donald Trump. All I'm saying is the last thing we need is an assassination in this country. But these people acting and behaving the way they are, they're putting themselves in some serious dangers. There's enough crazy fucks. There's other people in other countries, people that are desperate and don't know what to do. That puts people in situations where they'll do anything. And I'm not wishing for it. I hope he keels over because he chokes on a Big Mac, to be perfectly honest with you. But that's yet another potential chaotic thing that will happen in this country. I think that's a real concern. And Donald Trump pointed it out by making this executive order.
Yeah, I think, I hate to say this, but I already have my game plan. I don't care if Donald Trump drops in a McDonald's parking lot.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Republicans was behind it. They needed to get him out the way because he wasn't listening. That's my narrative. I'm putting that out there as soon as I hear the news. Republicans did this. He was getting out of hand. They couldn't control him, so they took him out. That's my narrative. Y'all want a conspiracy? There it is. I'm sticking to it. But I
Yeah.
do think that I think Donald Trump, I think what could happen possibly, and the reason that I'm leaning towards this is we have a lot of high security people
Yeah.
right now. Elon Musk has access to FBI, CIA. He has access to all of that, right? There are people in those positions that I feel the danger. You feel the
Yeah.
danger. They don't feel the danger. They know the danger. I
Right.
think that it would be possibly somebody like that. It's like that lone wolf, but it's a lone wolf who knows what he's doing or what she's doing and can make
Yeah.
sure that it happens. I'm
And
because especially with the FBI purge that we're seeing right now, if there was a purge of the CIA, we wouldn't hear about that. But I'm assuming that if there's an FBI purge, it's another purge going on behind the scenes. And I don't know how many of those people are going to just sit back and watch this for much longer. I think we need to push back before it gets that far. I just I just don't see a lot of people willing to do it,
well,
unfortunately.
now that you mentioned that, I want this is a story that just came out. This is Tuesday night, later Tuesday night. The Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA, on Tuesday became the first major national security agency to offer so called buyouts to its entire workforce, the entire workforce. A CIA spokesperson said, with two other sources familiar with it. Can you
You
imagine
have got
the
to
kind of
be
risk it
kidding.
would put this country? No, that came out in the news just a moment ago. He offered buyouts. Now, here's what people have to understand, and people have warned him. when Donald Trump, whether it be in business or politics, he says, listen, you do this for me and I got you later. I'll get you the money. Donald Trump never gets you the money. What he's doing is illegal. Whether he'll
That's
be
like
allowed to do it.
how you owe the wrong people money.
Yeah, yeah,
Sorry, go
exactly.
ahead.
Well, now, Donald, these people are going to get screwed no matter what if they decide to leave. You can understand why they may consider it because they think, whatever's going to happen to this organization, I'm just a little guy and it's not going to go well for me. I might as well get out of here while the getting's good. Uh, but when you talk about letting go 6,000 FBI agents out of 18,000 and God knows how many of the CIA, this puts us in serious danger. And you have to wonder if this is at the behest of, say, like a Vladimir Putin to make this country weaker, because that's what Donald Trump would do by getting rid of these people in these intelligence organizations. It would make us weaker and more vulnerable to any kind of fucking attack. And Donald Trump's cool with that, apparently.
I think that the people behind the scenes that's pulling the strings, I think they are hyper focused on implementing Project 2025 and make sure that gets there and eliminating anybody that stands in their way of that. What you just read about the CIA, it just confirms to me that national security is an afterthought to Project
Right,
2025.
right,
Because when you weaken the FBI and the CIA, like we're just sitting ducks right here, right now. And we
right.
pissed off all of our allies. So it's like we're on our own at that point.
I got to
Um,
be honest with you though, if I'd be a little concerned if I pissed off or scared any number of people in the CIA. These people
yeah,
don't do things above the board. And
they don't.
if they, you know, John F. Kennedy threatened to scatter the CIA to the winds. And we know
Yeah.
what happened to John F. Kennedy. Whether they were involved, I don't know, but there was a lot of people angry about it. That's what I'm saying. Donald Trump is putting he and Elon Musk and all the people around him in severe danger because not everybody in the CIA loves Donald Trump, especially after him doing something like this. There are going to be a lot of angry people, a lot of scared people, and people do fucked up shit when they get scared.
I'm kind of speechless after you read that. Like I'm really speechless after that.
Yeah,
I
I am
think
too.
that a lot of the people who are, if you're like a Trump supporter right now and you don't feel in danger at all, and he's dismantling the FBI and the CIA, I don't have any words for you at this point. I don't understand. Like I've been meaning to ask, and I've asked this question, but I don't have an answer because they don't know what the hell it is either. When they say the deep state, or when they say unelected bureaucrats, who are they talking about? Because an unelected bureaucrat would be somebody like, I don't know, Elon Musk in the Treasury Department. That's an unelected bureaucrat. So when you're saying you
Right.
want that out of government, who are you talking about if you're cool with Elon Musk doing that? When
Well,
you
I
say
don't
the
know what.
deep state, you don't think the deep state is Donald Trump at his inauguration and the Congress seats are those people are put to the back and all of his millionaire and billionaire buddies right here with conflicts of interest with their government contracts, et cetera, is sitting behind him. That's not the deep state. Who and what is the deep state? If it's not Elon Musk, one of the world's richest men in the world, and his whole billionaire cabinet that he has. Who the heck is the deep state? If that's
Well,
not it, who is it?
it's just a code word for them. There is no real deep state. Um, the, for them, the deep state is only anybody who disagrees with them. That's the deep state. Anybody that disagrees with them, that's who the deep state is. It's just a way of scaring people into believing that their enemies are wrong or unworthy or whatever the fuck. And this is where it's been from the beginning with the Republicans. It's all misleading information or disinformation. That's how they've gotten to this point. The media has allowed them to do that, and dumb people have bought into it. That's the unfortunate thing. And the thing is, Donald Trump always fails, so it will always end badly. You want to get rid of people in the FBI, CIA? Watch what the fuck happens. It's going to go wrong. There's going to be attacks in this country, terroristic attacks that the CIA and that the FBI stop every day. They're going to start to happen. And then we'll see how people like this shit.
I think that something else that people are missing is some of these terrorist attacks is domestic.
Yeah,
And they
most.
support a lot of that type of stuff. So it will be terrorist attacks all over the place with not a functioning FBI and CIA agency. And like it will be domestic terrorism out of control.
It will
And they
be.
are completely dismantling that for some people who are woefully unqualified. And I can kind of understand why Donald Trump himself is cool with that, because he think he's buddies with all of these dictators, right? He think
Right.
him and Putin is like best friends, best buddies. Yeah, even though he's gonna post your wife's nudes on his news channels, that's still your buddy. Even though he posts pictures of him walking you like a damn dog, you still want to look at him as your buddy. He
Yeah.
doesn't understand that once he has us sitting here with no CIA, no FBI, no allies, our military, yes, a strong military, but try to take our military when we go up against the entire EU and it's just us and we don't have Canada or anyone else to lean on. He doesn't
Yeah.
understand that, yeah, if you could be a bully if it's just one or two kids, but when you got the whole schoolyard standing behind these kids, you're not supposed to do nothing. It's crazy to me that his supporters have the inability to understand the seriousness of the moment that we're in. I don't even know if some of them still think it's a game. Like, hey, as long as we get the W, as long as we own the libs, they don't care about anything else. But when you start seeing bombings in this country and all of this other type of stuff going on, is that what it's going to take for you to take this seriously?
Unfortunately, that's probably right. People are that stupid and oblivious that it's going to take them getting hurt in order for them to realize it. Also, I'm going to wrap up the Rational Boomer podcast. We're right at that point. I want to thank you for coming down. I
Gotta
know.
tell you something about my brother. And
Okay,
I didn't tell it at the beginning because I get emotional sometimes.
I got you.
Some of these programs that are like help feed the community,
Mhm.
some of them are not getting money like they're supposed to. So the pantry, they contacted me. I was like, hey, can you take on some more people? I thought that I had enough like proteins or meats. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of don't. But then I was talking to my brother about it and I'm like, you know what? I don't care. If I have to like take food out of my own freezer, these people are gonna get fed. So a couple of days later, he's like, hey, come with me to the barbershop to get my haircut. I don't go to the barbershop. There's nothing but men in there. There's nothing for
Right.
me. Like he talks me into it, so I go there. And we get there, and the owner of the barbershop, he's like, oh, hey, oh, everything is in the back. Like, what the heck is he talking about? So we go to the back, and like all of the people in the community have like donated like meat, like hams, chickens, pork chops, everything was
Wow.
like donated. Um, and my brother was behind that. And the second
Wow.
thing that he did, you see Red Fox, how he has that drawer with all the glasses in it?
Yeah.
My grandmother, she had like a Tupperware bowl with like a whole bunch of glasses in it. I didn't understand it when I was younger, but like people couldn't afford glasses and stuff. So she'd be like, get that bowl, baby, look in that bowl and tell me if you can see out of any of these glasses. So people be trying these glasses on because they couldn't afford
Wow.
prescription lenses. And when she passed away, my brother, he took that box. And we always joke, I'd be like, oh, you the oldest, so you gonna die first. And as soon as you die, I'm going to your house and I'm getting them glasses. Because he never gives me any of her glasses. When he gets married, he had like her glasses in his pocket.
Wow.
Any type of special occasion, he'll grab a pair of her glasses and he has those glasses on him. So I was getting ready to come here, and he's kind of worried about my safety a little bit. And he should be, but I ain't scared. But anyway, he brought me to the airport and he gave me a pair of her glasses. And he was like, I'm gonna need these glasses back, aka bring your ass back home in one piece.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just wanted to say that because he's not like a person of like a lot of words. And I think that when we look at people like that who go out of their way for us and who really like cares about us and is willing to, whether they say it or show it, that's the reason that we have to keep this country going is because of people like that. And we do what we need to do for them. So anytime that you're looking for a reason to kind of like put yourself out there, go a little extra mile, you just kind of have to remember the people in your life that's in this country and that you still want to have the freedoms that they have and let that motivate you to keep going. Because right now,
So
that's my motivation with his little.
absolutely. And, it's something you and I said after the election. Uh, we need to come together and help those people that will be marginalized or in need, because we can't count on the government. We can't count on Donald Trump. So we've got to come together. And obviously, your brother took that to heart and is doing good work. So thank him for us for that. And we should all be considering that wherever we can help, we should be willing to do that.
Yeah, that's my big head. Yeah.
All right. Well, Old Soul, thank you for coming on. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. People are excited to hear from you. Go check the comments because everybody will say a lot of shit and they'll be looking for answers directly from Old Soul. So be sure to check that out. And
Yeah.
good luck on your trip. Be safe.
Yeah.
Don't
And
take any
donate to your
shit, but
food
be safe.
pantries if you can. Food pantries, anything like that, donate it because a lot of these fundings is like not going where they're supposed to go. So if you could donate something to your food pantry in your area, do that. It would be greatly appreciated.
And when she says food pantry, I think she's talking about some of these places, like in my area, it's a food shelf, or they call it different things, but
Yeah.
basically help other people that are having trouble getting the basics in food. If you can do it, by all means, help out. So
Yeah.
that's good advice. So, Old Soul, thank you very much. For those of you listening, thank you for taking the time, and hope you have a great day. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.